Hi, this is Scott Wheeler. I'm back, and this time I'm reading a resolution of support approved by the Bottineau County, North Dakota County Commission in April 2025 this year. I want to say at the outset, thank you very much to the commissioners for that and to the auditor for placing this on the agenda for consideration at the time. So first, let me show you a copy, and you can see that it's been signed and everything like that. Resolution of support. Whereas July 2nd, 1955 will mark the 70th anniversary of the national debut of the Lawrence Welk Show on television, a show which was aimed at family-friendly variety in acts and music, which spanned numerous genres such as country, jazz, pop, polka, and patriotic. Whereas Lawrence Welk, a native of Strasburg, North Dakota, took to the national stage values and love for music that started like crops in North Dakota soil, and the harvest benefited generations of Americans during times of war and peace, prosperity, and difficulty. Whereas in North Dakota, he was recognized in his lifetime, such as being inducted into the Rough Rider Hall of Fame in 1961, awarded an honorary degree by North Dakota State University in 1965. Later, his birthplace, the Ludwig and Christina Welk homestead, where he lived until he was 21, and was placed on the National Register of Historic Places and is today open to the public and owned by the state of North Dakota. Whereas many North Dakotans are of full or partial German and or Norwegian descent, it is noteworthy that Lawrence Welk was of German, in parentheses German-Russian, heritage, and Myron Florin, originally from Webster, South Dakota, was the son of immigrants from Norway and was himself inducted into the Scandinavian American Hall of Fame in Minot, North Dakota in 1984. Their success stories are among the examples of how far Americans from anywhere in America can go with hard work and perseverance. Whereas the Lawrence Welk Show is still aired regularly across America in a number of states, including North Dakota on Sunday evenings in North Dakota, more than 40 years after its last episode, and more than 30 years after his passing. Whereas his aim at family-friendly entertainment is an example of a worthy goal in any generation, as is the idea of bringing together quality from the past and present and worthy of all corners of North Dakota to come together to celebrate. Now, therefore, the Bottineau, North Dakota County Commission hereby proclaims July 2nd, 2025 Lawrence Welk Day and a day to honor the Lawrence Welk Show in Bottineau County, North Dakota. Passed and adopted by the County Commission on this first day of April 2025, County of Bottineau, and signed by the chairman of Bottineau County Commission, board chair, and by the auditor who attested. So I wanted to read that, give them the due recognition and appreciation I want them to have for this. And I want to say, by the way, that to the extent that some of these proclamations may not get into newspapers or TV news or whatever ahead of that date, I still think that they serve a useful purpose, because you can honor Lawrence Welk in the show any time of the year, any day. I think, though, that it is an important symbolic gesture, at least, to put a specific date together for it. But as I say, that's not the only day. I'm happy if on July 3rd or October 14th or whatever, people also celebrate. But this is just a nice symbolic gesture that on the actual day that the show first went national, to honor that. And in case you're not familiar with Bottineau County, North Dakota, it's in the north central part of the state along the Canadian border. So if you look at the counties that border Canada and North Dakota, it should be right in the middle. And hopefully I'll have the opportunity sometime to personally visit the county. I'd like to visit, if I can, every place in North Dakota, every county, every community that approves something. I'm not promising that because, there's only so much time, money, availability, but I would love to do that in person. And I do consider it a part of the Welk Belt that I mentioned in my previous video about places where there's either been a continual interest and respect for Lawrence Welk in the show, or maybe if not continual, it's either been renewed or it's becoming a more central part of it. And I'd like to think that this gesture, regardless, I'm not an expert on the history of the county and their history with the show, but regardless of the history, pro or con, or in between, this to me is a concrete example of them deserving to be an honored part of the Welk Belt, along with Rolette County, Ramsey County, any counties that I've read documents from that have been approved, and any that I will read in future videos. any place that has approved something, I consider to be part of the Welk Belt, and that's meant to be a compliment. It's meant to be a special region of the country. Maybe it's not entirely contiguous, just anywhere that shows support, interest, goodwill towards the project. And this can extend to television shows, newspapers, other media outlets, online. They can be a different form of the Welk Belt. For example, you can have the tangible geographic locations, but you can also have the online presence. The online, if I'm ever on podcasts or something like that, being interviewed and they're supportive or at least neutral, I'd like to think of them as part of it or honorary part of it. So thank you for watching. Take care. I do intend, by the way, to make videos that show appreciation for people or places that give me the chance to speak through an interview of some kind, like the Minot Daily News kindly published an interview done about the project. I want to make a thank you video for them. There's been 3 TV programs that have done so in North Dakota, 2 in Bismarck and 1 in Fargo, and I want to give each of them a thank you video. And one quick note before I go and start another video is I want to say that those early interviews, I mean, the Minot Daily News, I think, has been very useful because it helps me to have in print a pretty nice, tidy overview of why am I doing this and why am I interested? What am I trying to do? I can update you guys on the news that I got from somebody in the governor's office in North Dakota. I'm disappointed with that news, but I'm not shutting the door. I still would be happy to work with them in some other capacity on this if they're open to it. But I only bring that up to say that at the time that the interview was done, I hadn't yet gotten that update. But aside from that, almost everything else in the article is still up to date and accurate. And so it's still worthy of reading. And I might read the title of it in the near future on here so that you can see it. I might provide a link so you can see it. But that interview was done in April after I've been doing this for a few months. It was starting to pick up around, especially in like March and April. So still towards the beginning. But after that happened, I had something very useful I could provide in emails when reaching out to lawmakers and others to help them get an idea of what this is all about and why. So I'm appreciative to Minot Daily News for that. And then for the TV interviews, I will name names, I will name specifics, but just want to say that those interviews all happened before my newspaper interview. And so they helped me to have the internal momentum and the internal positive feelings and goodwill to stay focused, because this is something I believe in and this is something that I want to do. It's very important to me, as I've said, but it does help when you get encouragement, or even if you don't get explicit endorsements, sometimes just the opportunity to present your case might suggest openness, or if not openness on that person's part, at least that they think there may be people in their viewing audience that would be interested. And so to even have that opportunity is something that I'm very grateful for, and I think helped propel me as I reached out to different county commissions and other places in North Dakota and different organizations to know that, okay, I started this. No, basically nobody in North Dakota probably had ever heard of me, met me, or whatever. And yet, based on what I share about myself and the project, we're willing to give it a hearing, and I'm very grateful for that. It actually inspired me to write a tribute to the state of North Dakota that I intend on reading either today or in the near future on here. I hope nobody that's reasonable, at least, considers it over the top. But, you know, when I'm interested in a subject or a person or whatever it is, cars, you name it, I like to learn about it. I like to go down deep. I don't just want a surface understanding, right? Like if I'm learning about some historic figure that's interesting to me, it's not enough for me to just know their name, where they're from, when they lived, 1 or 2 things that they did, and that's enough. No, I want to know the person. I like to read biographies. I like to watch movies about people's lives. And so it makes me feel good when there's other people that in some way are willing to collaborate with me and help me to extend this, make progress with this. So if you think that it's maybe a little too emotional or sappy or whatever, the tribute I'm talking about, just understand that these are things that I really feel inside. And I mean, I can be a reserved person, but that doesn't mean that I don't have feelings It doesn't mean I don't have emotions, and it also doesn't mean that I can't open up and talk. I mean, look, it's not always easy for me to make these videos. Sometimes I get tongue-tied. Sometimes I get nervous. Sometimes something will seem to make sense in my mind, but then in the process of it coming out of my mouth live, I have second thoughts. And on one video today, I decided to just delete the whole thing 8 minutes in, because I was like, okay, I've made too many mistakes. So I don't claim to be a professional broadcaster, and it probably shows, but here I am anyway, making these videos, making these phone calls. I get nervous making phone calls to people I don't know, because I'm always afraid that they're either going to hang up on me or say something rude, because not everybody that's a perfect stranger is going to be polite out there. But so far, I haven't had anybody hang up on me, like just hang it up or say nasty comments. So I've been pleasantly surprised about that. But North Dakota also has a reputation for friendliness, and I think that makes it a little bit easier for me to get through my nervousness at talking to perfect strangers on the phone or asking them for something. I mean, I'm not calling them, asking them to donate money, right? I'm not saying, could you give me $50 for Lawrence Welk project? What I'm asking them for is basically for free. But still, people have the choice to say yes or no. And so I still don't know what to expect when I call places, and I don't always get the same decision, obviously. And so I'm going to go ahead. Now I have a treat for you in the next video, which is, let me see what this one is. Yeah, this one's a proclamation from Lawrence Welk's home county, where he was born and raised, Emmons County, North Dakota. I'll show it to you real quick, and then I'll read it in the next video. What's cool about this one, in addition to it being his home county, and I would like to think it being another useful asset in reaching out to people for their support, to see that not only places in his home state, but his home county gave me some kind of support. I think that especially stands out for that reason. And I'm going to read that next. Thank you for watching. Take care. If you're not yet subscribed to this YouTube channel, Lawrence Welk Tributes, please click the subscribe button. Share the channel with others. If you like this or any of my other videos on this channel, please click the like button. Feel free to leave comments on this or any of the other videos. Share the videos. The email address for my project is the 70th anniversary @gmail.com. And whether you feel more comfortable privately writing through email, or if you feel comfortable enough writing a public comment, that's your decision. But I would appreciate you telling me where you're from, what town, what country. If you have any memories of the show in the past or more recently. If you're a younger person, I mean, you can tell me how old you are if you're comfortable, whether you're older, middle-aged, young, whatever. But I have always been close with older people, especially, and people my parents' age. And so it's easier for me to feel comfortable talking to people those ages. But one of the aims of this project is to build awareness and appreciation among people in their 30s like myself and younger. So if you are in your 30s or younger, I especially want to hear from you. Like if you're between 18 and 40 or something. And then, of course, if you're over 40, you're definitely welcome. I'm just saying that I feel good when I can see evidence that there are younger people out there interested. And for example, there's a city councilman in Castleton, North Dakota, that's 18 years old, goes to NDSU, and gave me advice on some people to reach out to, tried to give me some help with this project. 18 years old, I'm twice his age already. And so that's an example of youth that have expressed some interest and offered early support. And, some of the people involved in the TV element of this project have been in their 20s. And so I love that. I've always been close with and respect older people, but it's very important that, as I say, people my age and younger are also part of this coalition. They need to be front and center with them. It's sort of like if you could imagine being on stage and you have your most prominent part of your base on stage for a special moment of honoring. I would want hand in hand people that are over 65, hand in hand with those that are college age, 19 years old, 30 years old, 25 years old, all together in a common cause that's positive like this. So all these ages are welcome. So thank you for watching and take care.